Hello everybody and welcome to Q21. That's right, quarantine workout number 21. It's been officially 3 full weeks of workouts. That's not counting the off days, 3 full weeks of workouts. So I hope you've been having fun with them. I know it's been an experience for me, and I've definitely had some sore legs and sore abs as a result of these things, so hopefully you have as well. We're going to start off, as you should expect, with the general warm-up. Get yourself through that general warm-up, and then from there, we're going to go into a stability circuit. So the stability circuit, you will recall, it's the more basic stability circuit. There's been a couple of other iterations of it as we've progressed. But the basic one is you got 30 seconds of each move. You've got your cat and your cow, breathing in to the cow, exhaling into the cat, pressing up. Go for 30 seconds each. From there, it's a static tabletop extension. Remember, you don't want to be too short here. Get yourself nice and tall on this. Palm should be up, leg should be straight, foot should be dorsiflexed in this manner. Then you switch sides, opposite side. From there, move it back. You got your dying bug. As you recall, the dying bug, it's got a little twist to it that makes it better. So what you do is you exhale. Think about the dying bug as being a 4-count bar. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And what you're going to do is you're going to exhale for the first 2 beats, and you're going to inhale for the second 2 beats. So you're going to be here. Out, 2, in, 4. Out, 2, in, 4. And when you breathe out, because what you want that breath to do is to really brace the torso. So when you exhale, focus on engaging your core. So breathe out with some force and press the low spine into the ground. Give yourself a little bit more stability, a little bit better connection to the ground, a little bit more aquatic alignment than you would ordinarily have otherwise. All right, so once you finish your general warm-up and then your stability circuit, we're going to go through circuit number 1. Circuit number 1 we're going to go through 5 times, and the first station in the circuit is actually going to be several different moves. These moves, they should all look pretty similar. They're kind of based on the Sharks series that we do. The Sharks here, it's the kind of moves where you're moving the band around like this, the short arc rotator cuff series. And one of the issues I've always had with this is a lot of times it looks like people are not really focused on the move, not really taking it seriously, just kind of going through the motions, a lot of times using ranges of motion that are completely incorrect, typically too great or in the wrong direction. And what I like about this, I'm going to call this the iso cuff series, because what this is, it's an isometric contraction involving the rotator cuff. And I came to this realization after having a conversation with my cousin today, Taryn Millard, who is an occupational therapist in Geneva, New York. She specializes in the hand and upper arm, and we had a very good conversation today about shoulder exercises and increasing the subacromial space. That's the space underneath your acromion, which is this bump here where your clavicle terminates into your shoulder right here. The space underneath that is very important for overhead athletes, because if you have a lot of space there, that provides a lot of clearance for your supraspinatus, the muscle that runs underneath your trap, to pass through that space and to connect to the front of your humerus, right? And that's very, very important in swimming. So a lot of swimmers get impingements when that supraspinatus becomes inflamed. Now, if you can work on having the appropriate, it's called the scapulohumeral rhythm. It's where your scapula and your humerus move together in a beautiful rhythm that allows for the muscles to pass through all the spaces that they need to pass through. And if you can create that type of space, well, then you can have a body that's going to withstand training better. And if you can withstand training better, then you can get to the end of the season stronger and healthier. And a lot of times, what it really breaks down to is how healthy can you be at the end of the season, right? When you're a talented athlete, when you're at the top level, oftentimes how healthy you are at the end of the season determines whether or not you make a team, whether or not you make a final, whether or not you get on that podium, whether or not you get that gold medal. A lot of times at the top level, what it really comes down to is how healthy are you at the end of the season. And for a swimmer, increasing your subacromial space is really important to being healthy at the end of the season. So these this iso cuff series, I really like this. I'm gonna show it to you now. The basic 4 moves, they're based on the 4 different angles, the cardinal angles, north, south, east, west, basically. So what I'm gonna do is for this first one, I'm gonna grab the bands, I'm gonna face away from my point of attachment, and my hand for all these moves is gonna be right here by my thigh. So I'm gonna hold my hand right by my thigh, I'm gonna take a couple steps away, and the amount that I walk away is gonna depend on the strength of the bands and the strength of the shoulder. I'm gonna hold for 5 breaths. Once I finish 5 breaths, I'm gonna walk back and release the tension. I don't wanna just let the shoulder go. I wanna release the tension first. All right, now when you're taking your 5 breaths, that should take you between 10 and 16 seconds. So now for the next one, I'm actually gonna grab the handle here because I don't want this angle to change, right? So now my palm is still right on my thigh. I'm gonna make that fist. I'm gonna sidestep away and I'm gonna hold for those 5 breaths. 5 breaths, then I will release. Now I'm going to face the point of attachment. Again, hand is at the hip, step back. 5 breaths, release. Now for the last one, I'll switch the hands on this one. For the last one, again, holding the handle at the hip. Now the band cannot pass through my hips. Physics, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move it right in front of my hips. Now the cord is actually gonna be touching the front of my legs here. I wanna keep it close, as close as I can, without the body interfering with the cord. Now I'll step away, and I'll take my 5 breaths. Again, those 5 breaths should take you within 10 and 16 seconds. And step away. So those are the basic 4 moves, and then there's 2 more. So the 2 more are in this position. You'll remember from sharks, this is that internal and external rotation position right here. So for internal rotation, now this is my injured shoulder, and my injury is specific to internal rotation. It's the subscap muscle that runs underneath the scapula and connects to the front of the arm here. That muscle is damaged, and I have a difficult time with internal rotation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set up in position with very minimal resistance, and I'm gonna step away very slowly until I feel like it's starting to challenge, and then I'm going to hold. Right? On the other side, I'm gonna go a lot farther, right? But when I'm working with an injured shoulder, I still want to work the muscle a little bit. I still want to stretch the muscle in a meaningful way, but I don't want to do it to the point of pain. So I'm just going to walk out to the point where it feels like it's still comfortable. I don't want to push it too much, and I'm going to hold for my 5 breaths. And then, of course, we have the external rotation version, switching arms. Now it's pulling across the body. I'm going to step out, and I'm going to hold for my 5 breaths. And once you finish up those 6 moves, we're going to move on to a farmer carry. So I have kettlebells here. If you like, you can use, you guys aren't going anywhere, right? I'm sure you have suitcases lying around the house just begging to be used. So grab yourself a suitcase, fill it up with bottles of water, bags of rice, cans of beans, whatever it is. But make sure those 2 bags are of equal weight, and then you can use those to do your farmer carry. And hey, once we get out of this thing, what better skill could you have to be able to contribute to your family than being able to carry around heavy bags in a crowded airport? I'm going to pick them up, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to walk for 80 steps. That's 80 steps forward. So what I've noticed, for me, I'll walk 8 steps forward, and then walking the same distance backwards, I'll walk for 12 steps. So there may be a little bit of math that you got to do. I want 80 forward steps, and if any of that you're walking backwards, you're going to have to do a little bit of math. I walk 2/3 the amount of steps forwards as I walk backwards for the same distance. So you guys figure that out. I know you guys are all still in school. After that, I'm going to do a kick up handstand. I'm going to do 4 on each leg. So as you recall, I don't need to do a big approach, right? What I want to have my hands planted, and then to be consistent with the handstand, what I want to do is use the leg that's pushing off the ground to bring the hips up over the shoulders. And then I want to push the legs straight up. It shouldn't be a big rotational move that's not going to be exact. You're going to have, if I'm creating a big circle, that means my feet are going to be moving too fast. I want to instead stack my hips up and bring that handstand up. So 4 with each leg. I'm going to plant the hands. I'm going to start with my right leg, and I'm going to kick up, and I want to be as gentle as possible. I'm going to kick up here. Not quite enough. That was right there. I didn't even touch. And that one was a little bit strong. And that one was pretty smooth. Then I'm going to switch sides. Couldn't get better than that. And that one was a little bit strong. And that one was okay. And then one more. And not too bad. So I've got 4 right, 4 left, kick up handstands. Remember, make sure you're wearing clean socks for that. Last thing I'm going to do, shimmies. I'm going to do 20 each direction. So I may go, there's 5, and then I would do that 4 times for a total of 20. Have fun with that. All right, so once you get through that, we're going into circuit number 2. Now, circuit number 2, we're going to go through 10 rounds, but it's going to be pretty quick. What we're going to do is 25 reps of squat high pull. Now, when I'm doing squat high pull, even though this is a pretty lightweight, it's only 53 pounds, I want to make sure that I'm getting triple extension. So what I'm talking about when I talk about triple extension, I'm talking about extension through the ankle, extension through the knee, and through the hip. So I'm pushing up through the toe, I'm pushing with my legs, and I'm extending my hips, and I'm getting everything lined up. So when I get into that squat high pull, I want to look like this. And I really want to engage the legs and the hips and use my upper body, use my shoulders as little as possible, right? The shoulders, the arms should simply augment the movement. It should really be about these 1, 2, 3 bottom joints, the hip, the knee, the ankle. Achieve that triple extension. Get your power there. Make your upper body work less because you're creating more power from the waist down, all right? After that, you're gonna go into an up down, move the weight aside, and for this, you wanna, again, get those hips extended. You wanna use the elastic properties of your abs, of your hip flexors here. Don't leave your hips up here, let the hips sink down, feel that stretch across your torso, and work that quick, elastic change of direction at the bottom of the move there. From there, you're gonna go into a Sherpa climber. It's like a mountain climber, but a little more hardcore. So for a mountain climber, you're gonna be keeping the hips level. For a Sherpa climber, you're gonna jump the hips up and plant that foot to the outside. What does that look like? Looks a little bit like a sit through, right? But here, it's just, and you're gonna feel that stretch through the hips, right? You really wanna get that foot up, engage that elastic quality of the hamstring, and switch side to side. You wanna feel the breath in that too. From there, you're gonna go into a cobra push-up. As you remember, yoga push-up or cobra push-up. Get into this downward dog. Make sure that your hips are tilted back. Your shoulders are stacked up. If you have to bend the knees a little bit to get into that position, that's fine. Stack it up, bend the hips, bring yourself down like you're going underneath a fence, right? Imagine a dog trying to dig under a fence. That's what you want to look like there. Down, press up, and back to that position. Bring yourself down, press up, then back. And that's gonna be for 8. So you got 25 on the high pull, then you got 15 on the up downs, 10 on the Sherpa climbers, and then 8 on the Cobra push-ups. Get it?